Yo, yo. Thanks for tuning in to the Weird Music Podcast. I'm Cam. In this episode, we've got a very special guest, Justin from Mungion. Mungion is an awesome jam band based out of the Chicago area, if you didn't already know. And in this episode, Justin, the lead guitarist, shares some great advice that he has for up-and-coming musicians, as well as his thoughts on the differences between, what could be deemed good versus bad music. Justin also shares the story of why Mungion now has a new drummer, and specifically why they're so excited to now have Nick Van Leer behind the kit with the band. Enjoy the podcast, and we'll see you at Weird Wednesday on February 19th at the Summit Music Hall. So here we are on the Weird Music Podcast with the man Justin from Mungion on his way back from a Colorado tour, spending some time here with me, Cam, on the phone. How we doing, Justin?
We are doing great. Hello, Binary World. How you guys doing out there? Good to be heard.
Bow. Yeah, we've got Mungion coming to Weird Wednesday here at the Summit Music Hall the week after this one. Super excited for that, so we figured we'd hop on this podcast to kind of, let Justin get reacquainted with the Columbus homies before he touches down in Seabus. So, last time Mungion was here, they were with Pigeons playing ping pong here at the Bluestone. And they had Matt Kellen, the great Matt Kellen, was behind the drum kit then. And now Mungion's got a new drummer. His name's Nick Van Leer. Is that right, Justin?
Yes, sir. Mr. Van Leer, the one and only, the Jersey stud.
The Jersey stud. So, yeah, man, you want to maybe start this bad boy off by giving a little bit of background about Nick's triumphant entrance into the band?
Yeah, sure, man. So we had about 3 weeks to find a new drummer, which, isn't necessarily ideal, but, we kind of hit the ground running and, tried to send out as many feelers as possible given the situation. And, we were kind of overwhelmed by all the people that were interested in the position, man, which was super humbling. We had over like 100 applications, man. It was
wow.
Crazy. So that was insane. And Nick, it's funny, Nick was actually the first applicant that we saw. And we were blown away. He learned a couple of the tunes, sent them over, and we were like, oh man, if everyone's this good, it's going to be real hard to find somebody, you know what I mean, to pick someone. And, man, we made the right choice. We flew him out for a couple of rehearsals. He's actually from New Jersey, so, not very close to Chicago. We flew him out. He killed it. It was a great fit, not only musically, but just on a personal level, which is, just as important, if not more important in a situation like this, because, we spent so much time together away from the stage. It's really important to have that camaraderie and that family vibe. So Nick, we called Nick. He was really excited to join the band. Ride or die, all systems go, and he ended up actually moving to Chicago a couple of days later. He just kind of picked up everything he had and drove out. Now he's living a couple of houses away from me, so we get a lot of time.
Fuck yeah, great, Nick. That is fucking dope, man.
Nick for the MVP, man. That's for sure. He's killer. I'm really excited for everybody to hear him behind the kit and see what he has to offer to the music. And I think everyone's going to be really, really pumped about it. We sure are.
Man, I can only imagine how complicated and intimate and stressful it is, getting a new member to a band. You guys are touring the country in this small van, and you're under, like you said, you have 3 weeks to replace the guy. And not only do they need to be that Mungion level lightning back there, but they've got to be a fucking homie. Like,
yeah, man, homie for sure. That's first and foremost. And like, you know, it's a family, and you know, we have so much love for each other. And Nick jumped in, and it feels like he's been in the band since it started. So like, in that regard, we couldn't really ask for anything else, man. He's an amazing person.
heck yeah, man. Well, I know this might be a little bit of like a sensitive subject. I really honestly don't know the backstory, but if you wouldn't mind, like, so what was like the situation on that, you know, going another way, or I don't really know why you need a new drummer.
Well, you know, it's just the nature of the beast. Being in a touring band is a hard thing, and you know, it's you know, just I think he wanted to do something different, and he's an extremely talented and an amazing person to boot. And you know, I know he's going to be doing a lot of great things, and I know he's got some stuff under wraps that I think people are also going to be really pumped about. And you know, we hope nothing but the best for him and all of his future endeavors. And he's still got a lot of love for him, and you know, the amount of time he spent in the band was great. He had a lot of great things to offer to the music, and you know, we're all forever grateful for that.
Right on. Right on. Yeah, I love Matt. It was really cool to get to know him through Mungion, but I'm stoked to hear you guys with Nick. I'm sure your sound is probably, you know, at least slightly adjusted with Nick. Do you want to maybe like comment on that at all, and how maybe you might be like approaching things slightly differently musically, like with a new
absolutely,
drummer?
man. Yeah, absolutely. Nick brings a lot of new things to the table, which is it's nice for us. It almost feels like a rebirth, you know. So he's blowing a lot of new inspiration and fire into the operation. And you know, the first day he came out here, me and him just got together at my place. He was living with me for a little while, and we just started immediately gelling and writing tunes, and which is for me, you know, that's my bread and butter, you know. So to have that creative, that kind of mutual creative ground is something that's really special and real hard to find. And you know, he's got a great song sensibility. He comes from we share a lot of similar interests musically, so you know, I think that's going to come through a lot too. He's a jammer, so he's you know, all about stretching out, getting weird, taking chances, and you know, trying to make every night different than the last, and it's been working out great so far.
Fuck yeah. So
yeah,
I
man.
guess that's a good like segue point. You're talking like he's a jammer. You're all jammers, obviously. I wonder, like, jam band fans, I don't wonder this. I know that they don't necessarily just like jam bands. They like just fucking excellent musicians and great bands. And a lot of those great bands jam.
Yes.
And like,
a lot of them don't too.
Yeah.
You know,
a lot of them have a really awesome songwriting, which is, and that's my jam. But
me too, man.
Yeah, like with that being said, I mean, Mungion, it's pretty much, you know, you guys are a jam band, or at least you fit that mold. But like, what are you really like absorbing as a listener of music regularly?
Oh, it changes, man. It changes every day. But let me think. So there's this incredible artist. Her name's Erin Allen Kane. She just put out last year she put out a record called "A Tree Is Planted by Water," and actually some of my Chicago homies are in her live band and help her arrange the music and write the music. And it's real soulful, you know. It's really well arranged. She's just an amazing vocalist. She actually, I think she's performed with Prince and all that, and just incredible. She's a virtuosic singer and songwriter, and been digging hard into that, you know. She's great. Yes, I don't know if she's from Chicago too. So there's
Erin Allen Kane. Yeah.
Erin Allen Kane. Yeah, she's awesome. We were just listening to Joni Mitchell's "Shadows and Light" just a couple minutes ago, which is that live record she put out, and you know, there's a lot of great musicians on that. You know, Jocko is on there, Michael Brecker, Pat Metheny, Peter Erskine, just you know, ton of heavy cast on that one. What else? Guilty Pleasure. Casey
Guilty
Musgrave.
Pleasure.
She's awesome.
Nice.
Yeah, she's kind of like an up and coming country singer songwriter.
Yeah.
She's great. That's big. Sturgill Simpson's new record, Sound and Fury, is incredible too, man. He's going a lot of different places musically. That's super inspiring. And then, man, I don't know. We were listening to this record. I don't know if you're familiar with this. He's a bass player and a singer. His name's Richard Bona.
No.
He's from Cameroon. And he has all this like really cool West African flavor.
Oh shit.
Really cool rhythms, really cool phrasing, and it's all sung in Cameroon, so it's very unorthodox, you know.
What's
when
his
you
name?
kind of compare it. His name's Richard Bona.
Richard Bona.
Yep, Bona. Yeah, man, amazing. I've been taking a lot of inspiration from him, and just trying to dig deep and trying to find some influences that I might have not, really really dug into, and see how we can incorporate that into our own music,
Yeah, so you're definitely listening with the like intention of being like a baseball player, seeing someone else doing the baseball, and it's not like you're just enjoying the game, but you're seeing, like the way they're doing it and all this. Songwriting dynamics. That's interesting. Like, I always wonder what different people, whether it's someone in high school who's just discovering, in sync for the first time, or someone who's like, like a musician who listens like with a musician's ear to music. I wonder like what, and we spoke about this a little earlier, like what specific qualities and themes of music like that make music good music. Like what is it that you're hearing in music that's
That's a really good question, man. I feel like for me it's all over the gamut, I feel like the music that speaks to me most is are people that believe in what they're doing, and they're really doing the best they can to make music that they do. And then that really speaks.
Hey, you cut out for a fat minute right there. You want to repeat that?
Oh, yeah, no worries. I was just
You're
saying,
good now.
I feel like for all of us, I feel like what speaks to us on a personal level is just people that, or singer-songwriters or instrumentalists or whatever it is. It's like people that really believe in what they're doing, and they're doing the absolute best job that they can to make the music that they believe in. And it's like, I find that if that's the case, chances are, it speaks to me, and so whether it's jazz or blues or funk or, Cameroonian music or, country, it could be anything, just always trying to dig and keep a big ear open, because there's so many great artists out there. It's crazy.
So do you, like, with that being said, like in that context, how do you get yourself in the mind state to then like write songs?
Oh, that's a real interesting one. So one, I don't even know if I know the answer to it, because the process of it, sometimes it just hits you, and sometimes you got to bang your head against the wall until something happens. But, just by listening to music that I wouldn't normally listen to, it might, I might think, the set could use something like that, or I wonder how people would kind of react if we did a song like this, or like a bluegrass tune, or like a real slow ballad, and just trying to really shed light on the songwriting and how to craft a song, using as minimal techniques as possible, and trying to really work from the ground up.
What I'm specifically interested in, like, so you're referencing like this music from Cameroon. It's like this music is, you just said it's what they believe in, and it's totally their intention, and that's the place that this music's coming from that you like, and it can be whatever genre. Right. So like as a songwriter, like
Yeah.
what are you really trying to do? Like, what is that approach that you're taking?
That's funny because it's like it's never gonna. At least if you're drawing from that well, it's. I feel like it's never gonna sound 100%, authentic in that regards. Where it's like I didn't grow up in that part of the world, I didn't go through those experiences. But it's like, how can I bridge those two worlds together and find some sort, relate to it on some level, to work that, in, whether it's like a melody or how a singer would phrase something, or how the drums sound, or the arrangement. It's all kind of like Legos, and a lot of times I'll be listening to a couple different acts and try and try to melt some of that stuff together and see what comes out of it, and it's always a different process. But lately I've been trying to make some demos in Logic, and that way you can really experiment building a song before taking it to the band. So you so when I'll take something to the band, everyone will kind of have a clear idea of the end result. But a lot of times what'll happen is I'll take it to the group, and then we'll just spin it around and around and around, and the end result is something that sounds authentic to us. You know what I mean? And that feels honest, which is the most important.
Hell yeah. Yeah. I like that a lot. So where we're getting at right now in this conversation, like, we're talking about music and like how, you're mentioning that music is influenced by other songs we hear from different places, but then it goes through, our own lens of it becoming like authentic to us, right?
Yeah.
But so the word there is like authentic, it's originality, and then you look in like what is financially really successful in the music industry, and there's definitely like authentic music that is like financially successful, but there's also a lot of like kind of like diluted, mass marketed mainstream music that is very successful.
Yeah.
And like a lot of people in many fields, whether it's sports or music or anything, people define success with specific metrics, with usually tied to like financial, and that's how good the music is. So I'm saying all this to kind of give the context to my next jump off point, which is like, so if there's Hannah Montana on the radio and it's crushing it, and then there's my favorite whatever music, unnamed artist that no one's heard of, that I think is like amazing, it just resonates with me, but maybe like my cousin hates it. With all that being said, like, what really qualifies like good music and bad music? I mean, there's punk music, hip hop. There's stuff that my parents would have loved 40 years ago, and there's stuff that they hear now and they hate that I love. Like, like, what's the word?
Well, I don't know if I'm in the position to make that call. I could speak for myself.
For sure.
But it's I think relatability is a huge part of that, and if somebody feels like they can relate to the music on an ethereal level, and some of the stuff is even hard to put into words, sometimes it's funny to just talk about it, but it's everybody comes from past experiences, and that kind of informs subconsciously what they're looking for in music. A lot of times I'll turn on the radio and I'll love it. You know what I mean? And some of those bigger pop acts, like there's this band, this really cheesy band called the 1975. I love them. I think they're great. Would we ever cover a 1975 song? Not in my wildest dreams, but that stuff speaks to me, and it's not gonna, it's probably not gonna speak to most people, but that's a hard one. But I feel like if you can kind of relate to it on some level, and it just gets you in the field, that's all that matters, because it's such a subjective thing. It's a language at the end of the day, but a lot of it depends on what mood you're in, and where you're at in your life, and what you're going through, and there's so many factors in there. That's a hard one. But that's a good question, man. You stumped me.
It's interesting, like music. It's such like a trippy, like metaphysical concept. You're talking about like relatability, right? Like good music is relatable. That's kind of a theme. But then, like, think about being a person, like a human. Like we speak English, but you're a guitar player, so it's like finding that relatability in something that literally has no words. Like it's just variation in pitch and tempo.
Well, right, and I don't even mean like literally relating to it. You know what I mean? It could be so like it could just be a drum beat, you know, and it's like this like you know, you get a room and you get a room full of people and just play that, everyone's going to be bouncing around. You know what I mean? That's the heartbeat. But it's like when you start throwing in other factors and like the lyrics and hooks and harmony and melody, that's the kind of stuff that, you know, that's very unique in the sense that, you know, that's for you to decide, you know, and I can only speak for myself, but for me, you know, it's a lot of digging and a lot of the stuff that I really love nobody's ever heard of, or a very small population. But that's just how it is. That's the nature of the beast, you know?
Yep. Yeah, so with that being said, like here you are, you know, you're on the Mungion ship. And it's definitely like a complicated climate, to say the least, out there for musicians. I mean, the technology available to get yourself out there is unprecedented, but that also means people who are listeners of music are there's so much clutter in terms of like, what do I listen to? I mean, the options are endless, and the like feasibility of making money off of music, like album sales and whatnot, has totally changed.
Sure.
So I guess, like, what advice might you have for, you know, up and coming bands who are approaching this, who are thinking about, do I go in the studio? Am I looking for a record label and distribution? Do I want to play? You know, obviously people want to play a lot, but you know that takes a lot, as I'm sure you know, to like go and tour the country.
Well,
like,
you know, I can only speak to what we do, but and, you know, and the bands that we play with and come into contact with. But for our specific scene, I feel like you know, your biggest asset is the quality of the live show, right? Because as you mentioned, it's real hard to make any sort of lucrative. You know, the streaming platforms are great in the sense that you can get it out to the masses. But as far as making money off it, it's, you know, unless you're Drake, it's not really going to happen. So to rely on that as your primary source of income in this specific scene, I think is going to be real tough. Not impossible, but you know, it's you got to kind of look at other avenues to explore. And I think the live show is one that really stands out because, you know, with our music, we take a lot of risks and, you know, try and take the audience on a journey and, you know, trying to make each show different than the last. And I think people really respond to that, and, you know, sharing in that experience together resonates with not only us, but with the fans alike. So, you know, trying to make our live shows as best as we can, you know, everywhere from the musical side of things to the production, you know, getting our shows out, which we've been doing this year pretty religiously, you know, mixing them out and getting them out to the people as soon as we can. And just trying to really cover all of our bases with that. But, you know, we're never taking a break. Even when we're off the road, we're writing, we're rehearsing, we're trying to, you know, think of different ways to get outside of the box, you know, and just always thinking ahead. But the live show thing is, and we're lucky to have that too, right? Because there's a lot of scenes don't have that following that the jam scene might have, you know, where people are coming from show to show to show and, you know, really supporting each band. And I feel like there's a lot of love for every band, you know, and of course there's going to be people that stand by their favorite band and that, you know, they come from the camp from, you know, our band is the best and everybody else's band, you know, doesn't matter. But I feel like that's just a fraction of it, and that's, you know, that's going to happen in anything. But I feel like for the most part, there's a ton of love and support for this scene, and it's super inspiring and really motivating in the current state.
I love it, man. So I know you're crushing it in the scene. You know that. So then, so we're on the topic of giving a little bit of advice for some, you know, if there's an up and coming musician listening right now, like, what have you learned then over the last couple of years in the jam scene about like what makes a strong brand?
Show up on time to sound check. No. A strong. Say that one more time. What was the?
I said a strong brand, like in this scene.
Okay, dude. I would say just be honest, man, and if
That's
you
a good
believe
answer.
in it, it's, you know, and just be really true to yourself, you know. And if you feel like that, what you're doing, and whether it's branding or I don't know, merch or music, whatever it is, it you know, if the band really believes in it, sometimes what'll happen is, you know, you'll get a lot of outside people coming in trying to direct, you know, your creative control, and you got to be careful about that. That can get a little bit hairy. So you always got to sometimes take a step back and, you know, really assess the situation and ask yourself, is this the best thing we can do for the core members of the band? You know, obviously what we do affects our whole team, and we're lucky enough to have an amazing team, and we're all on the same page, and everybody's working their butts off in their own respects. But, you know, and don't be afraid to be weird. Don't be afraid to be yourself. You know, don't feel like you have to fit this mold, this cookie cutter painting by numbers, because that can happen too. You know, if you see something that's, you know, popping off or people are really responding to it, don't feel like you have to change what you're doing for validation from those people. You know what I mean? Put out content. Man. You know, put out content. You know, if you could be the greatest band in the world, but if you're not putting it out to the masses or releasing stuff, no one's going to hear it, and no one's going to buy tickets to the show. You know.
Right on. Yeah, like one thing I definitely noticed about with like artists, I've had so many conversations about this. Like, we live in a capitalist society, so our lives have this like underlying architecture to them where what we do has to like lead to, you know, like future monetary returns. But then you talk about being an artist, and that's totally not the purpose of being an artist. So then it's like, so there's a conflict as you're growing a brand, a business, like, and you're trying to make money, but really you're cultivating this artist, and that's all about like what you're saying. Like, that's great advice. Like, just staying honest and true to that. That's when I find myself like latching on to an artist I love, when I feel that from them. Like that, and that's why I kind of love the jam scene so much, man. Is because a lot of these musicians are totally going out of their comfort zone on stage, and like a lot of jam bands are weird, but a lot of jam bands are just straight up like putting it all out there, and just that embracing of the discomfort of like that. The whole crowd's there, hanging on the note, and you're not going to do the same thing. You're going to try something. That's fucking awesome. And yeah, man, that's great advice. I mean, I know with Weird Music, like, we are an official business page, but you know, all the people who follow Weird Music are awesome people that I that have there's no need to talk to them like it's a business office. Like, they're homies. So finding that balance between being like a PR voice and then just straight up the jam homie, it's awesome the way you put light on just staying honest and true.
Yeah, man, and you know, I'm not gonna pretend like this isn't a business, because at the end of the day, it's like, you know, we do have to sustain this, you know, this lifestyle, and that requires a lot of grinding in the business aspects. But there's ways to do that where it's not so formal. You know what I mean? and you're kind of constantly walking that tightrope of, we have to have our best interests from a business pursuit, but also, we have to be ourselves and not let that interfere with the creative outcome of the music, and at this point, I think we're at a real good place. Like I said, we have a great team that, is totally on board with what we do. They share the same creative vision, and that's very, very special to us, and we don't take that for granted. And also just piggybacking off what you said, for up and coming bands, when you're talking about a manager or a booking agent, make sure that you really believe that your manager has your best interest, because sometimes there's people out there that just kind of see you as something to exploit rather than to really build and to share in some of the same values that you do. And when that happens, it can get real ugly. You know what I mean? So you always got to kind of have your head on a swivel and just really trust who you're working with, because if it doesn't feel right, chances are it probably isn't,
Right on. Well, Justin, man, this has been great. Fucking thank you for, bringing that honesty here on the Weird Music Podcast.
Oh, man, I love what you guys do, man, and I, from the whole Mungion camp, we really support you guys and can't thank you enough for taking the time to do this, and we cannot wait to crush it in Columbus. We got a lot of great stuff planned. It's going to be once the book, so I hope everybody comes out, spreads the word, brings their homies, and let's have a great night, everybody.
Hell yeah, man. Well, the support is definitely mutual. We've got Mungion coming with Bacano, Weird Wednesday, the week after this one. I believe that's the 19th. And then Munyon's definitely got, a packed month. You want to kind of speak about what you guys have got on the horizon?
Yeah, man, absolutely. Some of which I'm not at liberty to discuss yet. It's, top secret. But to kind of carry out the rest of the winter spring, we're going to be obviously in Columbus for the Weird Wednesday at the Summit, which is going to pop off. We're going to be in Cleveland at the Beachland Tavern, which is always a great time, and then we're going to be in Ferndale at the Parliament Room. So that should be a good one. And then we're going to be hitting Minneapolis for a couple days, Milwaukee, and then we got a whole batch of dates that we haven't released.
Well, fuck yeah, man. I'll definitely be seeing you on the Mungion tour this summer at festivals and what have you. And man, yeah, I can't wait for you to be in Columbus. And I'm definitely not just speaking for myself.